So let's take a look at the new commands here. When we open the command window, you see a new folder here called ExBrowser experimental commands. And the same here in the parameters, you have experimental options. So what this actually means is all the new stuff we add, I will always put into the experimental commands. And if we don't get any feedback that there are bugs, we will move them into the regular folders with the next version, and then put the new commands of the next version into experimental. So you always know that whatever here is here in the experimental folders, that this is the new stuff. And yeah, because it's new, of course we test it, but it's new. So please keep that in mind and then test it and send us feedback. Okay, so the biggest change or the biggest new command is the launcher command. If we look at the current version or the previous version, we always had to use the ExBrowser container to launch a browser, like the Chrome browser. Then we had the proxy field here where you can drag in the proxy function, like so. Keep in mind, if you use Firefox, don't enter anything into username and password field because that will crash the bot. This is currently not supported, as I mentioned in the other video, but yeah, we're working on that already. So then here into the options field, you can drag the new option, of course, and of course also the other options like setting a user agent, the Windows position, and then maybe also load a browser extension, right? But we will cover that later so that you have all the options in here, and then save it and you're good to go. So, right. And previously, if you use a navigate command, you just drag that into the URL here, and you're good to go. And then execute it. It will launch the browser, will navigate to that site, and then the browser and the whole thing will close. So this was fine. The problem with that is that this is using a Ubot API called container, and this has problems with multi-threading, which actually does not really work. And also the problem is that you cannot execute single commands, as you can see here, right? You can run the container, but it will always execute everything that is in it. So you cannot use that for other stuff. So what we did, we have a launcher command. This has the same options. You select your browser here. You can drag in the proxy option, and you can drag in one or multiple options into that option field as well. So this will launch a browser, like so. If you run that, it will open a browser, right? So if you manually close that browser, right? The DLL, the plugin still has that memory allocated, right? So it could be that when you try to run another browser, that nothing will happen, right? And therefore we have a cleanup command. So if you close the browser manually, and I mean I recommend that you use that cleanup command at the beginning always, because it will clear all the memory locations and everything. That is just in case you manually close a browser or something like that. If the browser is closed via the close command correctly, then this is not required, but it's not doing any harm, right? So just think of that ExBrowser cleanup as an initializer. Right? So when we run that, it will then open a browser and close it because I have the close command here, right? But even if I launch it manually with the launcher, and keep in mind, within one single thread, you can only have one browser open, right? If you need multiple browsers, you have to configure multi-threading. So here the browser is open. I cannot run another one because there's still one open, right? If you run that cleanup cleanup tool, it will close the browsers. Another thing that I would like to mention here, if you run Ubot commands manually, right, they are sometimes executed in a different thread. So the browsers are identified by their thread ID. So within one single thread, you can only have one browser open. But if you click that multiple times, it could be that at some point it will launch, as you see now, right? Now it's the second one. It could be that it will launch a second one. So I'm only mentioning that here because this only will happen if you are in development mode and if you open the browser manually and execute commands manually. If you run it in one go via the run button or via buttons and defines, you will never see that behavior, right? But if you click around here and then execute commands manually, it could be that it will open multiple browsers. So keep that in mind. If you're in development mode and you want to work on stuff, only open one instance, right? Only open one browser, because if you then like so, if you then execute a navigate command, right, and you have 3 or 4 browsers open, the bot does not know which one to use, right? So it will pick one, but it could be, yeah, that's a bit hard to find which one it is. So this one, here it is, right? So, okay, so the way to do that is really run the cleanup, which will close all the browsers, and then run one browser and then work with this one browser. So that's what I do. Okay, so we open the browser, it will remain open. So now, if I want to work on that stuff now, what I normally do is I go into that element inspector here, the debugger, the Google browser, the Chrome browser debugger. And then I look at the elements, right? So let's say I want to type in some text into that Google search bar. So we look at the elements here. You see it's an input class with that name. So now, okay, what do we want? We want a type command, ExBrowser type text. So I always use XPath. That's an XPath expression. Make that a bit bigger here. Move that to the bottom so that we actually can see something. Okay, so it's an input element, a class. So it's input class equals, and the name was GSS. Okay, and close it. Okay, so hello world. Okay, let's go back. Now I can run this one, run node, search back. Okay, that's working fine. So it typed something into that field here. Test it again. Okay, here it is. So correct field, working fine. Now I want to click that button here. Element inspector. Okay, so here's a button with value Suche, which is a German name for search now. So we can use that one. Okay, so I want to click something. It was a button. Value. Okay, so let's give that a try. Let's see, here's my browser. Let's clean that one. Run that. Yes. Run that command here. Ubot Studio. Run the click. And here it is. So now, after creating everything, we of course want to test it again and see if everything works. So let's run it. opening the page, and something is wrong here. Nothing entered. So as we can see, invalid element state. So it's not able to type something here into that field. So now what's going on here? Let's see if when we run it again, it works. Okay, so there is something strange. Let's run it again. Still the same problem. Okay, so manually running it. It works. So the problem, and I already know the solution to it because I prepared this stuff. The problem is that you actually have to click with your mouse into that Google page to kind of enable it, right? Because otherwise it will not allow you to type something here into that field. So what we are doing here now is adding a wait for DOM ready command after navigate, right? And then we add a click command. And what we actually click is just into the body. If you look at the elements here, right? The body class, the body element here, that's the main window, and we want to click that. So let's see how that goes. Okay, perfect. So everything is working fine now. Okay, now we can add a wait command, for example, 3 seconds, and we put a close ExBrowser close command. So the browser is still open. Let's say we want to scrape something from that page, right? Yeah, let's take a quick look. What we have here. So we have the different URLs. Just searching around a bit here. Okay, let's say we want, here's the URL we want to extract, right? So, okay, there are a couple of scrape commands. Let's say we do an alert. So we want to extract multiple things, so we have to use one of the list commands, right? If you want a single item, use one of the other two. Multiple items always use list. If you want to extract inner text, then use the list elements. If you want to extract something else, then use attribute. So we want that because we want to extract the href. Okay, so we have to identify that element here, h3. So we are doing that via expart. So it's, oh, sorry, h3. It's a class equals r, and then the next thing is a, and we want the href. Okay, so let's give that a try. Here we go. Okay, well, just an example here, probably something we can clean up and filter, but that's basically what we want. So here, of course, is the wrong location. We move that down here, and yeah, run the complete thing to see if that works. And the pop-up here is hidden somewhere. There it is. Okay, so fine. Looks good so far. Okay, so that's about the launcher and the close command and the cleanup command. We of course have the navigate back, but that's not so spectacular. We launch the browser. We navigate to Google. Right, we wait 2 seconds. Navigate to Yahoo. And then we navigate back, copy that one as well. There it is. Before we start, we run the cleanup. Okay, let's do it. Starting the browser, going to Google, going to Yahoo, loading the site, waiting 2 seconds, bam, going back to Google. Well, working fine, not a big thing, right? Okay, so clean up, closing all the stuff. And the last one we have here is loading browser extensions. So let's take a look at that one very quickly. If we run the browser and we go into that menu here, it's settings. Sorry about the German stuff here. It's on my PC here. So settings, extensions. As you can see here, there's only one extension loaded. And what we can do now is I pull in that load extension option into the options field, and then I specify the path to that extension. So this is stored on my D drive. And of course, you can also use a command like special folder and stuff like that. Right, point to the CRX file for Chrome, or to the I think it's XPS for Firefox, but we will see that in a second. And we launch that. And as you can see here, now something else is loaded. Right, proxies, Vichy, Omega, just a test thing I added here. Yeah, please keep in mind this is experimental at the moment, because at the moment there's nothing you can do here to control or to configure anything, right? And yeah, probably certain plugins and extensions can probably mess up with other commands. Like as you saw, it opened a new tab here. And if we run a navigate command now, let's test that very quickly. What happens? Okay, it will navigate on the main screen here. Yeah, but please keep that in mind. No? The extensions, the Google and the Firefox extensions, they are zip files, so you can rename them to zip and open them, and then you will see a lot of additional configuration and files within that zip. And yeah, just Google for that, but you can modify and add settings to those extensions by editing the CRX file, right? Rename to zip, open it, and make your modifications within that file, right? You can even you can even pre-configure all the settings and all that stuff, right? But that's something you have to figure out on your own. So I do not provide any support for any of the extensions. So please don't ask me how to configure XYZ with extension whatever. I have no idea, right? So just adding that load extension feature for you guys to play around with it and come up with your own awesome ideas. Okay, yeah. Please let me know if something is not working, or if there's anything you think that would be very useful for everyone, and let us know. We are the help desk, and we will consider that for one of the next releases. Another thing we optimized is the pop-up container. So this command will change in the future, because as you can see, it is also using a container, which is not really good with multi-threading. But what you can enter here now, you can launch launch a browser, navigate to a site, click something, and when it opens a new window, right, browser window, you can like enter a title here, and it will then do a partial match. So if the title is, for example, Yahoo is awesome, right? In the previous version, you had to enter Yahoo is awesome. Now you can just enter Yahoo is, or just Yahoo, or just awesome, right? And it will find that window, right? You cannot use any wildcards, right? So that's not working. But you don't have to enter the complete title. Try to enter as much as possible so that if there are multiple windows, that the command is able to find the right one. But yeah, but this command will also change, right? It will be a kind of a switch to window command with an option to select the title of that window, and then a close window command and things like that. So that's something I'm currently working on. So yeah, with multi-threading, I don't recommend that you use the pop-up container, because it will have the same limitations like the old ExBrowser launcher container thing. If you have a site where you want to use multi-threading and where you want to where you have to support pop-ups, then it's probably best to change that element before you click on it, so that it does not open the new site in a pop-up. It should load the site in the same browser window instead. I posted it in the forum thread how to do that. There's an example there. If you don't understand it, just send me a mail via the support forum, and I will try to help you. Okay, last thing, multi-threading. Multi-threading, really, there's a lot of stuff you have to know about multi-threading in Ubot Studio, but we will not cover that today, right? There are a lot of good tutorials in the forum how to do that, and how to do a loop command to wait for until the threads are finished and stuff like that. So today I will do a very basic example just to show you that it's working and how it works. So if we talk about multi-threading, we always need to define, right? Well, not always, but yeah, most of the time. Let's put it that way. So we have a define here, launch browser thread. What we do in that the thread is we launch ExBrowser, Chrome browser. We navigate to a site. We wait 10 seconds. And then we close the browser. All right. So at the beginning, we do a cleanup to reset everything, and then we have a loop. 10. We have a thread, and we have the launch browser thread command. So that's how I would do that. Very basic thing. We'll open 10 browser windows at the same time, right? Of course, initializing those browsers will take a second or so, or 2 seconds, depends a bit on your machine, but it has to load an executable multiple times and things like that. So this is not going to be like here within a millisecond or so. All right. But you don't have to enter any wait commands and other stuff like that. This will just work out of the box. So let's try that one. As you can see, browsers are loading up here. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we'll load Google on everyone, right? You can just pull that around a bit here. See that it's actually working. So my internet connection is not the best one here where I live. So yeah, this is just. Okay, and now the first they are closing. Bam, 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 and done. So that's basically it. With the new launcher command, all that stuff and all the problems you saw with the old API container module, that's gone now. So you can now really use it for multi-threading. Of course, you have to do it correctly. There are a lot of things to be aware of with multi-threading, like using local data within the thread define and handing over variables you need into that define and stuff like that. So, but this is not a problem of the plugin, right? So this is just, yeah, you have to check out the threading tutorials and how that works. So this is a very basic example. We'll open 10 browser instances and then do the stuff you have within the define. And that's basically it. If you have any questions or ideas or need help with anything, please use the support email address I mentioned in the introduction video. Thanks a lot and have a nice day.